Shtick Podcast, the podcast where comics are my shtick. My name is Blake T. Wild, and on this week's episode, we got a lot to discuss. But of course, as always, this episode is brought to you by my Patreon, where you can find The Custodians, Agents of Cross, Issue 1 and 2 being serialized on there. Issue 1, it has been posted in its completion. This is over 60 pages of pure comics created entirely by myself, as well as all 5 issues of Destructo Boy, a fun little sci-fi story, fun for the whole family, that is being serialized on there as well, along with various other content such as movie reviews, commentaries, original art, and early access to videos when available. Check that out, patreon.com/Smokey'sVideos. And we got to start this episode off with some horribly depressing, tragic news. I got 2 bits right here. The first is Ed Piskor. I don't think anybody expected that to be the course that was taken. And all I'm going to say about that is I feel horrible for the family, his friends, anybody close to him, for having to now deal with the repercussions of the actions that were taken. And moving on to the other bit of sad news is Chance Perdomo, who recently played Andre in Gen V. He was the metal bending guy. He has, like I said, passed away at the age of 27 due to a motorcycle accident. I thought he was pretty fantastic in the show and was looking forward to see what would continue and what would come of his character. Now that we got those 2 bits of just horribly depressing news out of the way, let's get to a slightly less depressing and more generally upsetting piece of news. And that is that Marvel has apparently decided to now credit editor Roy Thomas as co-creator of Wolverine. That was a whole hullabaloo and a half of occurrences. I haven't really looked into it that far, but it seems to be that Roy Thomas, who is the second ever editor-in-chief at Marvel Comics, after Stan Lee, of course, hated by a lot of people, including Jack Kirby, although I don't know if I'd say hated is the right word, more of disrespected as a sort of little like a yes man or like a company man style figure that people just got annoyed with. He's like a little toady, you know. He's often depicted. There's this one character that Jack Kirby created that's clearly clearly a parody of Roy Thomas, who follows around the parody of Stan Lee that he also created. But according to whatever's happening, Roy Thomas is now being credited as a co-creator of like 3 or 4 other people, or in total is now what it is, for allegedly coming up or suggesting the name Wolverine and suggesting that he be Canadian. That's it. That's all. And they've decided, obviously they're not going to get shit, because Marvel, Disney, they're not paying out for anybody. He's getting credited, so I guess you get that street cred for that, 70-year-old man. Len Wein and John Romita Sr., they're both dead. They can't argue against it. So I'm surprised it's honestly taken this long for them to make this push to get Roy Thomas's name attached to Wolverine. It's asinine. Mark Waid had a perfect just take on the matter, which is that when you're an editor, you're not fucking making stuff. You're there to ensure that the people who are the creators are, you're guiding them in a way, I suppose. You're not actually part of that creative process, especially the fact that he was working for the company. So does that mean that technically Marvel Comics is a co-creator of the character that they also own because it was work for hire? It's ridiculous. Almost as ridiculous as this Rob Liefeld news. Rob Liefeld releasing memoirs titled Robservations in 2025. So that'll be interesting to see his memoir collection. I'd hope it'd have a good editor, and it's not just rambly like his podcast was or is. I might pick it up. I probably will pick it up, I'll be honest. Those were my favorite episodes of Robservations. The early ones, the first year to 2 years or so. It was a lot more of him just speaking about comic history, his own history in comics, the industry. A lot of that is really what I enjoyed, of just hearing his experiences and his journey to, becoming a comic creator and, founding Image, all of that. And then I personally feel it went downhill after that. He started doing all those like comic book feud episodes, and I enjoyed when he would discuss like creators like Jack Kirby or even John Byrne, although I hate John Byrne, Art Adams, the topic episodes that were still in the realm of like creating comics. Then it would just sort of turn into a general pop culture series, it seems. Like I just can't get into it anymore. I haven't listened to it in years. But seemingly, if it's his memoirs, then you'd have to guess that it's going to be very similar to those early episodes of the podcast that I did enjoy. So I hope it has a neat cover design. I'm really interested to see what sort of design they go with for the book. Is it going to be the same logo as the podcast? Is it going to have some little extra stuff? Is it going to be drawn by Rob Liefeld? How fucking insane would that be if he drew his own memoir cover? It'd probably be late. Speaking of late, I don't know where I was going with that segue. Leaving the world of comics, Andrew Garfield and Tom Hardy are apparently set to star together in Audible's new audio drama production of George Orwell's dystopian classic, 1984. Now, the interesting thing about 1984 is that more or less it has one real male lead. I see that being more... I can't remember any of their names. It's been years since I've read the book or watched the film. I see that as more of a character befitting Andrew Garfield. There is the female lead, so they have yet to announce that, apparently, as far as I know. Tom Hardy, who could he be playing? Tom Hardy could be playing the boss or the coworker, the male coworker guy that gives the main character the book about the revolutionary figure that everybody hates. God almighty, it's been a long time since I've read that. I need to... I watched a musical about it a couple months ago, but I was sort of skipping around it because it wasn't the best. But, yeah, it's neat. I don't know if... honestly, I might watch it. Listen to it. Audio drama, depending on how much it is. I don't know if I can use Audible credits towards that or how that works in general. But, yeah, neat. Cool. They're good actors. Let's see how good they are as voice actors. Now, here's something that is quite exciting and fun news. Remember back to the past, many, 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 many episodes ago, I think back in Season 1 of the Comic Shtick podcast, because don't forget, they are separated by seasons, seemingly at random. I discussed that there was going to be a Netflix Ghostbusters animated series, and then nothing has ever come of it until right now. Developed by Jason Reitman and Gil Keenan, who brought us Ghostbusters Afterlife and Ghostbusters Frozen Kingdom. They are going to be executive producing the series through Ghost Core Inc., something I completely forgot about when Ghostbusters Frozen Empire came out. Frozen Empire? Frozen Kingdom. Frozen Empire. I kept calling it Frozen Kingdom because I thought it was Kingdom. They're synonyms. What do you want from me? Gil Keenan, I don't know what he did on the films. I don't know if he was just producing them. I don't know if he had a part in like making the storylines. I don't know. But he's part of that Ghost Core Inc., and he has had this to say about it. Quote, I just watched an entire art presentation for the show. I've seen the sets and the environments, and I just saw my first glimpse at a world of supernatural characters as realized by our brilliant creative team. All I can say is the work is being done as we speak. It's in what we call full development. Scripts are being written, art is being created, and it's a great time to be a Ghostbuster. So we still got a couple years waiting for this fucking show to come out. When I saw the headlines about it, I was really hoping that it was going to be pretty soon. Because it feels like it's been several years since they made that announcement. But, it's animation, and Netflix had that whole sporadic, just flipping their shit about their animation departments 2 years ago or so. So I'm sure that had something to do with it. But I hope it looks better than that first season of Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous, which is surprisingly a good show from what I've heard. I haven't yet to watch it, although I should because I love Jurassic Park, and this seems far more closer in line to Jurassic Park, both the original film and the novels, than the Jurassic World trilogy is. But it's still not a great art style. I'd hope that they do something original with it, but at the same time, I am doubtful. Because I feel like the people in charge are still very much animations for kids. It doesn't have to look good, we just gotta pump that shit out. Speaking of animation for kids and Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous, it has a fucking sequel show! This is Star Wars Rebels to Camp Cretaceous's Clone Wars, I guess? Both fantastic shows. I honestly prefer Rebels myself, although Clone Wars is obviously a tremendous show. But Camp Cretaceous, which, again, if you're unfamiliar, it was an animated show on Netflix that ran for about 3 seasons, I want to say. It followed a group of kids on Jurassic World, at Jurassic World, which apparently had some kind of just like a camp. Obviously, it's called Camp Cretaceous. It's a summer camp style thing. That God Almighty, how rich are these kids' parents that they're affording to send them to a camp on a dinosaur island. But it's like camping in a nature preserve or something like that, I think. Well, anyway, this group of kids and whoever else, they're there when the park is open, and they're there on the day of the Jurassic World movie takes place, which, as we all know, is not a great day to be there. You should have gone some other time within the past 20 years of it being open. Or however long it's been open. It's been like 10, 15 years, I think. But it's similar to... It kind of reminds me of Star Wars Resistance, which was a short-lived Star Wars show. It's all right if you were a fan of the Clone Wars and how that matured as it went, and then you had your hesitations about Star Wars Rebels because of the art style difference and the whole, like, oh, well, this is clearly made for kids more. And then you realized, hopefully, that it did also mature as it went on and became fantastic. Star Wars Resistance doesn't really do either of those. It's fine throughout the whole season, the 2-3 seasons that it went, but there's plenty of episodes you don't need to watch. But it felt very similar to Camp Cretaceous. Anyway, these kids survive on the island for like a year or a year and a half, 2 years or something. They say it in this new trailer I just realized I haven't even said the name of the show. Jurassic World Chaos Theory, which seems to have just taken that core idea of, oh my god, we're fucked. That sort of Lord of the Flies, apocalyptic story about kids trying to survive on an island full of dinosaurs and corpses because they're unable to escape the island. And they just sort of do away with that and just go the Fast and the Furious route that the movies started going into with, I guess, Dominion really pumped it up to the extreme. I mean, Jurassic World already had the Indominus Rex, which is just a ridiculous concept. Apparently they wanted to put human DNA in it in an early draft of the script, so it would have been part human, which also goes back to the early 2000s when they were trying to do Jurassic World 4 with human dinosaur mutants. It's a real thing. You can still see the concept art. It was fucking insane. They had like gun arms and shit. I don't know why. Why was that the next logical step to everybody? Jurassic World even has them turn into military weapons. Oh my god. I still haven't seen Dominion, so I don't know what the fuck that's about. Bugs or something? And like all these dinosaurs that we've never seen before that are somehow appearing out of nowhere? what was I talking about? Oh yeah, just how ridiculous it is. So this chaos theory show, it is set seemingly a couple years later, sometime during or after the time of Dominion. I don't know when the hell that takes place in comparison to the other shows or movies. And the kids are being hunted by this weird, like, assassin of a clandestine group. For some reason. I don't know what the kids got up to on that island, if they exposed something or what, or why the people who are trying to kill him have waited this long. But it doesn't seem great. It seems like it's going to have the same issues that the Jurassic World franchise had. But what does look absolutely incredible and just so great is the new 6-issue Star Wars series coming out May 4th, only on Disney Plus. Tales of the Empire. Oh my god. Barriss Offee is back, baby. She's been rotting in prison for like 15 years in the real world. And now we finally get to find out what the hell she's up to, or has been up to, or what happened to her after she got arrested trying to bomb the Jedi Temple in season 4, 5. What season was it? Season 6. No. Season 7 was the one on Disney Plus. Season 6 was the one on Netflix that was called The Lost Journals or The Lost Missions or something along those lines. Season 5, I think, is I guess it would be season 5 if I remember correctly, which I like oftentimes in the show. I don't. But anyway, so Barriss Offee confirmed that she joins the Inquisitorius, or the Inquisitors. Is it called it's called the Inquisitorius, right? Serving under the Grand Inquisitor, who, fun fact, was a Jedi Temple guard at her fucking court hearing. Going back to Star Wars Rebels, that's where he was introduced, and that's where we eventually learned that he was a former Jedi. But yeah, he was retconned to be one of the Jedi Temple guards, the ones with the full-on mask and the big orange lightsabers, during Barriss's court trial at the Jedi Temple. Funnily enough, Anakin Skywalker's the one who arrested her, got her arrested, and now she's working under him. I doubt anything's going to come of that, really. Vader might make a slight remark, but I highly doubt it, because Anakin Skywalker is dead, and Vader killed him. But I would like to see some sort of rapport be formed between Barriss and the Grand Inquisitor. That would be neat, especially because this is early on enough to where seemingly the Grand Inquisitor is probably the sole trainer of like the new Inquisitorius. I don't know if I doubt by the time of Rebels, which is 16 to 19 years later, that he is like, well, maybe. I don't think they got many new Inquisitors after a certain point, because they kind of do that thing that Sith do, where they try to overthrow their ruler, and Vader has to usually kill a bunch of them. I don't think there's many left by the time of Rebels, so it's seemingly they don't get any new ones. But I don't know I don't think it's ever really stated if the Grand Inquisitor is the one that trains them all. But seemingly he might. But at this point, he definitely is. We see the fifth sister. I don't know. The one with the Leku tendrils from Obi-Wan. We see another one who kind of looks like the guy who is resurrected via like Night Sister magic ghost shit in Ahsoka, the full armor clad guy. I didn't get a good look at him. I just watched the trailer and started talking on here. And we see the mask one, the weird ninja looking guy who's a mask, and he's like gas or something, I think, from Tales of the Jedi, which is based off of an Inquisitor that showed up in the Ahsoka novel that pretty much tells the same story at that like farm that Ahsoka was working on. So that's neat. That's cool that they're still fairly early on. I wonder if we'll see... I doubt we'd see Reva yet. Oh, yeah, she's the third sister. I think, yeah, right? We might... I wonder if Sarah Michelle Gellar might reprise her role as the seventh sister. There's the big one from the video game. There's the other one from the video game. Is she the third sister? Or second sister? I think she's the second sister. Fuck me. The titling. Maybe that's what they'll do. They'll explain how the fucking Inquisitor titles work. Because it gets so confusing. But, of course, the other storyline is Morgan Elsbeth. Very cool character. I really dug her. I thought she was an interesting character in Ahsoka. And I like the sort of introduction we get to her in Mandalorian. So it's going to be interesting to see, you know, she's a Night Sister. She was on Dathomir when General Grievous invaded the planet and destroyed everything. General Grievous looks different. I don't know. I'm not sure why. I don't think it's that the art style is that different, because it's still very similar to Clone Wars. I don't know if they updated the model, or it's just the fact that he's wearing his cloak, which he just never did on the original show, because I'd imagine it would be too time-consuming and cost too much money to have to worry about all the cloth sims that you would have to run for it. But, and of course, Grand Admiral Thrawn, yet to be a Grand Admiral. At this time, I don't know what book series this would be at. Probably the second or third one in the original trilogy, I think. The original trilogy, of course, being the one that came out after Disney bought it. What else? What else is there? That's about it. Which makes sense, because Tales of the Jedi was the Count Dooku story and the Ahsoka stuff. So I wonder if they're going to just be going back and forth. Next, it's going to be Tales of the Jedi in like a year or two. Then it'll be Tales of the Empire, or maybe even Tales of the Sith after the Acolyte comes out. That'd be neat. Get some more Sith lore. But yeah, it looks really good, just visually, and I'm very excited to see where the stories go. I'm mostly excited to see what happens to Barriss Offee. Supergirl has its director as I, Tonya and Dumb Money. Helmer Craig Gillespie is in talks to direct the film. So it doesn't have a director. I don't know what article I stole this headline from, but that is not true. They do not have their director yet, if you are saying that he is in talks to direct. I, Tonya, never seen it, familiar with the story and what it's based on, real life event. I've only heard good things. I don't know what Dumb Money is, but I'd imagine it must be pretty good if it's from that guy. So, cool. And now moving into MCU stuff. Sticking with that Disney train. Let's see. Daredevil Born Again has had some leaks. It's had some, well, not rumors, it's just had leaks. So if you don't want to know anything about Daredevil Born Again before it comes out, I have time codes in the description, and they're on the video. You can just click to the next one. So, Daredevil Born Again. Punisher is back, baby. Jon Bernthal did a great job in Daredevil Season 2. It's my favorite version of the Punisher played by him. I'm sure I've talked about it before on the show, but I just hate the Punisher show. I don't like it. I don't think it's a good Punisher story. It humanizes the Punisher, something which you really can't do, because that's not who the Punisher is. The first episode of that show has the Punisher stop being the Punisher within the intro. Again, something that the Punisher doesn't do. And I know that's the whole thing, is that the Punisher tries to stop, but then he must come back. That's not the Punisher. Garth Ennis got it. Fucking, what's her name? The director of Punisher Warzone got it. That's honestly, Ray Stevenson as Punisher in Punisher Warzone. That is my favorite live-action adaptation of the Punisher. Thomas Jane is great, of course, in the 2004 movie, and that unofficial sequel short film, Punisher Dirty Laundry. That's also great. That's much more in line with like a comic-accurate Punisher. But I love Ray Stevenson. He looked like the Punisher. He looks exactly like Frank Castle in that movie. He just gets the demeanor down of Punisher just being this cold monster. It's pretty much a slasher villain, a horror movie monster with machine guns. Which is funny because he does become Frankencastle in the comics. But the Punisher in Warzone, oh my god. They get it so perfect in just one scene alone, which is that there's these two detectives who reluctantly have to work with the Punisher to take down Jigsaw. And there's a scene where Jigsaw and his cronies kidnap a woman, I think, and her daughter, and the cops and Punisher track him down to this like big gang hideout. And it's like a block down the street, and they're standing outside their cars as Punisher's just cocking his fucking guns back and checking to make sure that there's bullets in the magazines and fucking putting them all on his like vest. And then he just grabs his gun, and the lead detective goes, "All right, so what's the plan?" And Punisher just, without even looking at him, stirred fucking face, he's still just getting his guns ready. He goes, "I'm going in." And the detective replies, "You call that a plan?" And which Ray Stevenson just perfectly says, "That's all I need." And then slams the trunk down and just fucking walks off locked and loaded. That's the Punisher, baby. Again, yeah, you know, I didn't really care for the adaptation of the Punisher in the MCU, is what this gets at. So I hope that they don't try to humanize him again. Because like I said, he was really good in Daredevil Season 2. That was great. Punisher Season 1, I watched about 3 episodes or 4, I don't remember how many. I just didn't care. But I think it might work better now that it's not the show that he has to drive at this point. It's him starring in a Daredevil show. There's also stuff I saw about Jessica Jones, Christian Ritter being back, but I don't know if that's true or not. I couldn't figure out if those were actually recent photos, so who knows about that. The next thing is that there's a character from the Chip Zdarsky era of Daredevil called Cole North. Fuck me, that's hard to say. Cole North. It's my neck. My neck doesn't want to move that way. The muscles in my neck and my jaw. It's like Pal World. Remember that video game? Cole North. Gotta leave a long, pregnant pause. He was a character brought in, created by Chip Zdarsky a couple years ago. He is a character who is a Chicago detective cop or something that's transferred to New York. And he's working with the Fisk. What is it called? In the MCU, I don't remember if it's called this in this comic. It is the Anti-Vigilante Task Force, created by Mayor Wilson Fisk. Congratulations, Wilson. You finally did what your father that you hacked apart never could. So he is confirms that he is the mayor. And they're doing the Chip Zdarsky thing. They're doing the Devil's Reign? Right? Is that what it was? I fucking reviewed the comic on the show, and I don't really remember it because I didn't enjoy it. But anyway, Cole North is going to fucking piss some losers off because it's a black guy dressed like the Punisher in these pictures that they leaked from the set. I don't know why he's dressed like the Punisher. I don't know what could possibly lead them to that point, unless like. Because in the comics, he fucking hates, vigilantes and shit. That's the whole reason he's trying to stop them. I don't know if it'll be like, he has to put the vest on, and the vest maybe already has a skull on it. Maybe he's going undercover in some way, and it has to do with the storyline where, cops are idolizing the Punisher, even though they shouldn't, and the Punisher fucking hates them. maybe that has something to do with it, but I just can't. I can't really think of a reason why he would be dressed in the similar getup of the Punisher. But yeah, that's about it from Daredevil Born Again. I think the thing I'm most excited for is to see Mayor Wilson Fisk. Also, there's a leaked little clip of the suit and like actual camera footage, not like from just filmed from like a balcony across the street or something. Oh yeah, Bullseye's going to be in it. We knew that from a couple months ago. But the Daredevil suit, the eyes seem a lot redder than they have been in the past. And it's a very visually striking thing to see. Moving on to the comic movie news that's rip-roaring through the internet. Incels are losing their minds. Men's rights activists are losing their minds. You know, all those typical losers that you'd expect to see losing their minds from this announcement. Julia Garner is joining the Fantastic Four as the Silver Surfer. The Emmy winner will play the Shala Ball version of the character. That is from the Earth X series, which I don't know if I've read that. I feel like I might have read it, but I honestly can't remember. I also have never gotten the utter fascination that people seem to have with Earth X. Is it the Alex Ross art? Is it? I can't even remember what the storyline of it. It's like in the future, and that's where they established the celestial egg in the Earth, which is another thing that the MCU's doing. I'm sure there's other MCU stuff that they took from Earth X. If anybody knows why Earth X is so sought after in adaptations, please let me know. So the Earth X thingy is what the fuck am I talking about? Shala Ball. So Shala Ball, Norrin Rad, before he was the Silver Surfer, before they did all that. They were beaux. They were in love. Blah blah blah. She was gonna be the Silver Surfer, and then he took her place. But in Earth X, she becomes the Silver Surfer. She kind of looks like Jocasta from the Avengers, which meaning she's just a. It's interesting. I just thought of this is the engineer from the Authority and Shala Ball as the Silver Surfer. Both just athletic, naked, silver chrome women with long silvery metal hair. That's an interesting correlation that's happening between these two movies. I wonder if they're going to go bald, or are they going to go hair? The ultimate predicament. If they go bald, then I'd want to see them do like a super androgynous looking Silver Surfer, like kind of like Gozer the Gozerian, where it's like, yeah, the cosmic force and energy of Galactus just transformed this alien woman into just this androgynous, ungendered, unsexed entity that he uses as essentially a tool. If anything, really, Galactus's heralds are no different than the pigs that smell out truffles for people. But anyway, I'd imagine that they're going to do pretty much just an adaptation of the Alex Ross art. Although that'll make it differentiate a little bit. Although I'm sure people who aren't familiar... God damn it, I thought I silenced that. Although I'm sure people who aren't familiar with that fact that is from a comic and just lose their minds immediately and call it the MCU and how Disney's gone woke and now they're going to go broke, won't give a shit anyway. But it's a neat characterization. And it leads me into this Fantastic Four discussion, which might end out the episode, because we're getting a little long here. And I kind of wanted to have more Savage Dragon issues read than I do currently. 1, 2, 3. I only have about 4 or 5 issues discussed. So, like at the beginning of the podcast series, I think I'm gonna have to push the comic series I'm reading back another week. So stick tuned for next week when I talk about Savage Dragon. But right now, I'm going to talk about my theories about the Fantastic Four in the MCU. So, let's talk Fantastic Four theories for the MCU based on everything that's come out. It is currently April 4th, 2024. 4. You gotta smush down that 2 a little bit. If only we're 20 years into the future. My God, imagine the Fantastic Four film that comes out on April 4th, 2044. But today, yesterday they announced that, what was her name? Julia Garner is going to play the Shala Bal version of Silver Surfer from the Earth X adaptation franchise series. I still don't know if she's going to have hair or not. If you're wondering why I'm talking like this, it's because I plan on cutting this part out of the podcast and making it its own video. So, Fantastic Four. They also published a poster showing Johnny Storm flying through the air, making a big 4 out of the flames. And in the background, here's the interesting thing. In the background, it's clearly not a normal city. It is the most futuristic, retro-future, sci-fi 60s version of New York I have ever seen. There's what looks to be the Empire State Building, maybe the Chrysler Building or something. There's like weird pods and arches everywhere. There's this superhighway or probably some sort of monorail going through. And there's what looks like the Twin Towers with big fancy antennae on top of them, looking fairly similar to Jack Kirby's idea of, how you draw a city. It's just a bunch of rectangular buildings, which I am all for. So that is an interesting idea. The fact that there are rumors going around that the Fantastic Four film is going to begin and take place in an alternate reality to the MCU's primary universe, and then they get shifted over some way. That just further fuels that fiery idea by the fact that this takes place in the 60s, but it's a retro-future 60s where stuff is just far more advanced, but also maybe a little old because it's the 60s. What else did they do? They also posted a photo of Herbie the robot, and he looks really cute. He has a weird little, looks like tape deck eyeballs or something, which I assume is probably how they compute the artificial intelligence voice lines or something. Like, whenever he speaks, his eyes, roll to the different tape sections so he can speak properly, kind of like Bumblebee. They also released the Future Foundation logo. So that is interesting. It looks like a basketball with an F on it. But speaking of that symbol, they also did this one. 4 circles, one of which is full orange, orangish yellow, almost the exact same color as Ben Grimm, aka The Thing. The other is an outline of a circle, almost like they're trying to show that it's transparent, like you would in a comic about Sue Storm. The third, I think you're seeing where I'm going with this, is red, like Johnny Storm. And the last one is a bunch of lines in the shape of a basketball, and it's outstretched, being Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic. And the Future Foundation logo is the that outstretched one with the F, and then the F making up the other side. There, it's one F is upside down, the other F isn't. So we know that the Future Foundation is going to be in this. That is established through this, seemingly. And I don't know what these logos could possibly be, if they are actually used in the film anywhere. It kind of looks like an old 70s, like the film intro, where the circles go across the screen. That's what they've released today. So from that, we can get a couple things, like I said. Johnny Storm. I don't know why I started with Johnny Storm. Johnny Storm's going to be in the Fantastic Four movie, guys. He's on fire. It's going to be in a weird, retro, futuristic, sci-fi version of New York. Seemingly the 60s New York. Silver Surfer is going to be involved, meaning that in some way or fashion Galactus is going to be involved. I think that it might work out like this. So what if they establish that the Future Foundation in the MCU is a thing? Through, like, when does this movie even come out? Sometime between when this movie... Is there anything coming out between the... So maybe they establish that a version of the Future Foundation exists within the main MCU universe, Earth 199999, and that could be done, I don't know, Captain America, Brave New World, Deadpool, Wolverine, maybe. That might make the most sense, is if the Future Foundation is in the MCU through Deadpool, Wolverine. That's how they end up there in some way. And they're, we see in the Future Foundation in the Illuminati world that they're working on multiversal shit, so it stands to reason that the exact same foundation formed in the main universe, seemingly maybe by some of the same people, would be working on multiversal stuff. You could even bring in like new scientist characters, new characters that you want introduced for the Fantastic Four. Wyatt Wingfoot could be a part of it. You can bring back other science characters. Just put Bruce Banner in there for the hell of it. Hank Pym, I don't know. Eric Selvig is a part of it. But anyway, it's not important who's there. It's important that it exists in this MCU. So, the Fantastic Four film seemingly is going to happen in that alternate reality of the 60s that I spoke about earlier, right? Maybe there's some sort of communication happening between, or that happens between the MCU and this alternate reality, which I'll call Earth 60. I don't know, it's in the 60s. And maybe they establish it early on in the film that there's something that's happening, and that temporal disturbance between realities has something to do with Galactus or the Silver Surfer, but it's not really brought up upon except for a few points here and there in the film. I'm thinking it's similar in my mind to the Ultimate Zombies storyline in the Ultimate Marvel Universe of the Fantastic Four, which is Reed Richards of that universe. Another Reed Richards contacts him, and it's seemingly the 616 Reed Richards in the comics, and everybody was freaking out. They're like, oh my god, the Ultimate Universe is going to cross over with the Marvel Universe, the regular universe. And they have this cross-dimensional hologram technology, and the Reeds are talking, Teenage Reed and older Reed, and then Teenage Reed gets lured through the portal that he's constructing, and he goes to the universe, and it's the zombie universe. But maybe in this version, it's the Future Foundation of the Earth 60 has made communication with the Future Foundation of the Prime universe in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And something, eventually that leads them to working out some sort of transportation system that they get sent to Earth 616, as they like to call it. Alternatively, and that could, again, if Galactus is going to be a threat in this movie, I doubt it. If anything, they're going to do the whole Thanos thing, where it's something or someone working for Galactus. It's Silver Surfer's in it, so it could be the the Punisher, that little angry robot that Galactus has in his comic. But anyway, you can do so much stuff with Earth 60. There's so many things you could go there. But what if Galactus, giant purple man in space, goat of the existence of the universe, not as greatest of all time, but as a literal goat, because he'll eat anything. What if, when whatever happens, that the Fantastic Four gets transported to the Earth 199999, was that too many? he gets transported there too, or follows them through, and oh shit, now you got Galactus in the mainstream universe you got to worry about. That's like kind of similar to what happened in the Ultimate Universe again, which is Galactus from the Earth 616, the main Marvel timeline, gets transported to the Ultimate Marvel timeline. And so there are two Galactuses in that universe. One was a swarm of artificial intelligence robots, and the other was just normal Galactus. Alternatively, here's another speculative idea I have. They have said that the director or the writer, whoever, has said that a big inspiration for it are the Lee Kirby series and a couple of others, and then the Ryan North most recent series, which is honestly incredible. It's fantastic. I've talked about it before. Really enjoy it. In that, it begins with the Fantastic Four being hated because they did something that destroyed a couple blocks of New York. We don't know what it is. It's eventually revealed that Reed Richards and the gang, they were fighting Annihilation Wave, maybe, and they were coming out of a portal in the building or something along those lines, or they were swarming around the building, something like that. And the only way that he could get rid of them and stop them from destroying the world is to do this whole teleportation thing where he drops the Baxter building like in the middle of space where it is going to be in the future, and then teleport it back to that point in the future. Something fucking crazy like that. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've read it. But what if the Fantastic Four have a similar situation with whoever the villain's going to be, possibly Galactus, maybe just the Silver Surfer, maybe his heralds. And there's only one way to save the Earth decision that Reed has to make, and that decision causes some temporally fabric of reality tear, like we saw in the Marvels, to occur. And during that time, they sacrifice themselves, maybe, to save their world and wind up in a new world, which, now that I'm saying it, is what happened in the Marvels as well. But those are my sporadic, harebrained theories and thoughts about what could possibly happen in the Fantastic Four movie. And that brings me to the end of yet another week, another episode of the Comic Shtick Podcast. As always, let me know what you thought in the comments below. Let me know what your thoughts were. What are your Fantastic Four theories? What do you think of my Fantastic Four theories? Let's show each other our theories. What do you think of the Daredevil Born Again stuff? You got any theories about that? What are your Daredevil theories? Tell me your theories. What are your thoughts on Tales of the Empire? That whole Jurassic World tirade that I went on? That took up a lot of time, didn't it? The Ghostbusters, Rob Liefeld's thingy, and all of the rest. So I will, as always, and as always, check out my Patreon, patreon.com/Smokey's videos for all the stuff I listed at the top. Check out my Etsy shop, blaketwild.etsy.com, and follow me on Instagram at NotBlakeWild for my original art, posts about the channel and videos, and it's mostly my art. And I will see you next time. Bye!